Let's start with San Francisco at Philadelphia. So the line right now, Philly's giving up 2.5. The tickets are nuts. They've drawn back a little bit now. They started off the week over $2,400 in the average price, which the next nearest average conference title game in NFL history was like 1,500 plus. Yeah, so this is even drawn back. I think it's at 1,800. I mean, it's a game where the ticket's hot as hell. The environment's going to be crazy. It's going to be a ton of fun to watch. I don't know. You guys break it down for me, and I'll tell you um, maybe a couple little things that I've heard in terms of like the planning and on each side.
For this Eagles game, I mean, the more I think about this game, I kind of feel like the 49ers defense is like they're matched up really well, except for one area. I think when you look at if Jalen Hurts is healthy, you gotta at least test some deep balls just with your receiver talent against their cornerback talent. AJ Brown, Devonta Smith. I think if Hurts can uncork it. And last week, I was at Philly after the game. He said that he felt good enough to play, and I feel like their game plan kind of resembled that. Where outside of that first shot they took to Devonta Smith on the first drive of the game, they spent a lot of time throwing screens and a lot of short passes and letting guys make play after the catches. I don't think that that's going to work to the same degree against San Francisco. Just when you look at their linebacker and their safety talent, which is really, really incredible. But the one area is they can throw a go ball as well as any team in the league. And the 49ers is one area where they kind of struggle a little bit. So if you can get AJ Brown or Devonta Smith on the outside and just hit like a couple of those plays, that can really change the game for you, I think. But you're also in the danger spot of if that's what you're relying on, even if you're good at that, that's still a low percentage play. Uh, and you kind of need to be able to find some success on first and second down to keep you out of those situations. And I don't know. I mean, it's tough because these are two elite units going at each other, but I really do like the way this 49ers defense matches up with the Eagles offense.
Yeah, 49ers defense is a wagon right now. I mean, they're really getting into that conversation of 2015 Broncos, 2002 Buccaneers, who we're going to look back and say, yeah, that defense carried them to a championship. They're that good. I think on the other side, the one thing to me is how healthy is Christian McCaffrey? Because
I
the one
told
thing
you.
Philly, I know,
I told
yeah,
you.
right. You gave me
Tried
the
to tell
break. You gave me the breakdown of him walking off the podium. I remember. But the one thing, look, Philly can beat you in so many different ways, and they're so deep and they're so good. The one thing that's kind of a weakness for them is run defense, right at the middle. They have not been great at that by any means. Not god awful. I mean, but I think San Francisco goes into this game saying, we got to run it. We want to limit Brock Purdy because Brock Purdy's on this incredible heater. The stat that I wrote about it this week: no rookie quarterback in NFL postseason history has more than 14 passes without an interception. Brock Purdy's on 59. Like, he's bound to I hate moving a goalpost on Brock Purdy and saying, oh, well, you got to do it in a playoff game. Oh, well, you got to do it against the Cowboys. So, he's passed every test. He's fine. He's just what he is. He's a system guy. He does his job. Great for him. But there's going to become bumps in the road. And with a Philly team that can get after the quarterback with all those double-digit sack guys that can pick you off, great playmakers on that back end, this is the game where he has a 2-3 interception game. If you could force him to pass the ball and you're not just giving up 6 yards every carry up the middle to even Elijah Moore, who's a capable running back. So to me, is Christian McCaffrey healthy? Can San Francisco run the ball? And can they keep Brock Purdy from having to be in these high pressure situations where everybody knows he's passing the ball and Philly can pin their ears back and rush a quarterback? Because if they get in those situations, I think that's where Brock Purdy doesn't turn into a pumpkin necessarily, but he shows that he's a rookie last pick of the draft.
Yeah. Well, interestingly enough, I called someone that faced the Niners and Purdy this season, and I said they'd seen the last two games, I'm sorry, for the 49ers. And I said, so explain to me what's going to happen here with Philly's D. And he said, well, I think if you look at what Seattle did, they accomplished like 20% of really what they wanted to do with Brock Purdy. He said, then when you look at what Dallas did, they accomplished about 50%. And he said, for Philly, if you can get that to like 60 to 70% success rate in terms of how you want to position him on the field. And I said, well, what do you mean by position on the field? He said, well, if you go back and look at Seattle, he said, there's a particular play where he gets flushed to the sideline. And he said, and there's pursuit, and he throws a bad pass. And he said, you can tell the reason why it happened was he was running out of space. He said, if he's got a lot of space to move and make a play and throw it, he's comfortable. He said, but you see, when he starts to run out of space, naturally, he becomes less comfortable. His ball location goes to, and he could potentially make a bad decision. And he said, same thing with the Cowboys. You could see that they were trying to either force him to throw from inside the pocket, stay inside the pocket, or if he's going to move, make sure you push him into situations where the space is limited, trap him in a way that's going to force him to make a decision quickly. And he mentioned the Kittle play. He said, go back to the Kittle play. He said, the guy just had forever. He said he's not, no wonder he gets to Kittle, who wasn't even a read on the play, because he boots out and he doesn't have pressure. He said even the guy who was trailing doesn't get there until way late, and it was just too much time to let something happen. So he said, look, if Philly, he said, I know they've got the pass rushers on that line. Everybody's talking about the double-digit sack guys. He said it's just as important for them to, finish the pressure, but also it's going to be real important for them to contain, keep them in the pocket, force them to make fast decisions, but under duress inside the pocket. Just don't let him start running around and extend plays and get time, because that has played into some of his success rate. He thinks that Philly's going to be by far the biggest problem that Purdy's faced. He said, unless they can create some mismatches, he said, look, obviously Kittle, big deal. He said, I expect, as Frank said, San Francisco going to try to run the ball if they're healthy as much as they can, try to get a little bit creative with some of those runs. And then he said, Kittle and mismatches with the linebackers would be really helpful, or if they try to throw a nickel on them or whatever it is. But, he just said those corners, Purdy's not going to be able to make mistakes against those corners. He's going to pay a price. And, he just said the same with the front too. It doesn't have to get overly exotic. Those are guys that all should be able to get after him, but they also have to be disciplined. So he just really put a lot of the game on Purdy, because I used to look at both sides of the ball, and he was just like, look, I really think this is about a Brock Purdy game, and can this kid continue to extend things the way that he has? McCaffrey, I don't know. I told you, seeing him on Sunday, I noticed that walk-off, and I said I didn't expect him to practice much this week. I thought he would be in treatment all week, because when I watched him walk off, and you can check the receipt on the Sunday, the Monday podcast, he looked like he was struggling to not show how much pain he was in when he was trying to get out of the interview room. And it was weird, because I just kind of felt like, okay, maybe I'm making too much out of this, because no one else seems to be looking at this guy and thinking, man, he's really struggling to get out of this room without looking like he's the Tin Man without oil. So that's what it felt like. So you guys want to make a pick?
I'll take the Eagles. I just think, look, the Eagles have been best team since week 1 to right now. If you're saying who's the best team in the NFL from the opening day to right now, it's the Eagles. They showed us last Saturday night, and we're pretty good. It worries me to think that Jalen Hurts, like what Charles said about, it's good enough, feeling good enough. I don't know where Jalen Hurts is at. Hey, if Philly gets that run game taken away and he's got to throw it against that defense, can he do it? I don't know. That's a question still in my mind, but I think he's answered most of the questions. He's good enough, like Charles said. So I'll take the Eagles, but it's tough because I hate picking against the 49ers. They're a really, really good football team.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the 49ers just because I trust. I like the defense. I really like how the defense matches up against the Eagles offense. Like especially with a lot of the horizontal stuff and screens they want to do, I think that that plays right into what the 49ers are really good at on defense. But I will say the danger area for me is it's Brock Purdy still. And I know I'm like the big Brock Purdy hater on this podcast. But to me, I think when you look at what the 49ers need to accomplish in this game is you need to be really good on first down, because I think you have to protect Brock Purdy from this pass rush. Because if you get into a situation where, say, all right, Brock, we're dealing with a bunch of 2nd and 7s, 3rd and 8s. I kind of need you to just drop back and make a play. I don't like it against that Eagles pass rush. I think Trent Williams is obviously elite at left tackle, but the rest of the guys are gettable. If you want to mess around and put like Hassan Reddick over Mike McGlinchey, I think that's a matchup that can be won for the Eagles. And Brock Purdy is the guy who will bail from pockets when he doesn't need to in the first place. So I get worried from a 49 standpoint is if these Eagles defenders that run a 4-5 are chasing Brock Purdy around all afternoon. I'm not sure that ends up very well for the 49ers, but I trust the 49ers defense to do enough where they can get to the Super Bowl with Brock Purdy, much against my desires.
You and Trey Lance both.
Yeah.
It was funny because I was taking the 49ers when the week began. And then again, just after kind of talking to people that were familiar with both teams and having faced Purdy, because it's a road game in Philly and it represents an environment. Now Purdy's gone on the road, but not like this. Okay. This is it. This is the peak. Like it's for a Super Bowl berth. This is the toughest kind of crowd you'll ever face in the NFL because it's getting into the Super Bowl. Super Bowl crowds are never as good as title game crowds. They're just not. And you're playing in Philly, hellacious place to play, particularly in a situation like this. My God. So I do think that affects him. And I do think that the fact that Philadelphia has all those pass rushers up front, and they're veterans too. Those guys are all, it's nobody, who's not talking about first or second year players. It's not a situation with when you looked at Micah Parsons, they were flipping him at times, like so he didn't always have to go against Trent Williams. I just feel like that front rotation's better, and I think they will get to him. And frankly, I think Philly's D is awesome too. As much as I love the Niners, and I think the Niners have the best defense going in football right now, and absolutely have the ability to carry a team to a win, which they basically did against Dallas. I just give that home edge to Philly. So I'm taking Philly right now, but I mean by the slimmest of margins. I hate to say the 1 point nod, but that's the kind of, they're so even that it's remarkable to see these two teams play each other. And let's just be honest, defenses are both great, probably don't cancel each other out, but pretty close. Skill position players probably don't cancel each other out, but pretty close. Eventually you get down to quarterback and you go, maybe a banged up Jalen Hurts versus a Brock Purdy, who still we're going to continue to call a wild card because he's never been in this situation. I'll probably take Hurts in that situation. So slight 1 point nod, and Charles McDonald gets to break dance on our faces when we're wrong.
And I will. And
I know you will.
And if I'm wrong, I just won't respond to my phone.
Too long, didn't read.
Playing video games.
Sorry that happened, or really happy for you. Whatever. By the way, Charles and I are going to be at Philly together, so I will get it firsthand. He can't escape me if I'm sitting next to him.
Are we going to Philly? That's news to me.
You're not going to Philly?
No, and I don't think so.
Really?
I leave for Vegas at 6 a.m. the morning after.
That's right. I forgot about Vegas. So yeah, you won't be there because you gotta go to live in Vegas for.
Yeah, it must be tough.
Yeah. Airbnb in Vegas for it feels so rough that you're not going to be in the NFC title. All right, yeah, I guess I will be by myself, and Charles will be muting all of us from Las Vegas.
Correct.
Cincinnati at Kansas City. The Chiefs are giving up 1. Frank, tell me if I'm wrong here. I feel like this line has kind of wobbled and gone back and forth, right? Like a couple of times. Because wasn't Cincinnati a favorite a couple days ago?
Yes. As our resident degenerate, let me tell you that for a game this big, that's going to have so much betting handle, I don't remember line moves like this, where it opened up Sunday night, Chiefs -1.5. And you're like, okay. All the money came in on the Bengals early to the point where it was Chiefs -1. And then all of a sudden, I think it was Monday, it flipped. The favorite flipped. It became Bengals -1. Then Bengals -1.5. Bengals -2. Bengals -2.5. You're like, is this going to get to 3? Then
Patrick Mahomes video.
Yeah, right. It was more. But even before that, a group came out and made a big play on the Chiefs. A lot of people backed that. The Chiefs come back. They're basically settle at +1. And then it flipped again after probably the Mahomes news to where the Chiefs are -1. I don't remember a favorite flipping twice in a game like this before. Just with as much handle as out there, much betting money, it's really, really rare to see these much line moves. The books don't want to be wrong because they can get middled. If you have the Bengals plus 1.5 and the Chiefs plus 2.5. There's a lot of, Chiefs win by 1, the books get screwed both ways. So they don't want that. That's why you rarely see moves like this. That's why it's kind of been crazy to me, just a game within the game, watching the line moves here. But the Chiefs -1, I wouldn't be shocked if we see another move back to maybe a pick 'em, or maybe that just stays the Chiefs -1. But it's been kind of crazy to watch.
Wait, how much has this? I haven't followed the lines nearly as much as you have. How much have they actually moved?
All the way from 4-point -1.5 to plus 2.5, and so a 4-point move. And I was sitting here during the week being like, okay, if Mahomes was totally healthy, if he never suffered that ankle sprain, it's probably Chiefs -2.5, maybe Chiefs -3. When it's Bengals plus 2.5, I'm like, are you telling me that Patrick Mahomes being banged up, he's going to play? How many times did I have to read this week about the Chiefs are cautiously optimistic. Patrick Mahomes is going to play. Yeah, no kidding. We all know Patrick Mahomes is going to play. Quit wasting our bandwidth, okay? That's just Patrick Mahomes was never not going to play. Chad Henne was never like, maybe I'll play in this game. No, Patrick Mahomes is going to play. But anyway, I was sitting there saying, a banged up Patrick Mahomes, that injury, even though he's going to play, is worth 4 points, 4.5 points. This is ridiculous. I've never seen anything like this. So huge line moves there. And now with Patrick Mahomes, full participant in practice Wednesday. What? I know they're probably fudging a little bit. I can see you being cynical over there, Charles. But I mean, the fact that he looked to be moving well, he did practice. I think we're going to see a reasonably healthy Patrick Mahomes.
I just want to know and I will ask Charles, because Charles has played a higher level of football than either of us. You put it beyond Andy Reid to go, let's give you a tiny little shot. Just a little shot, and then let you run around, because there's just that one little bit of video, right? And when I saw it, I'm like, man, this is the most obvious ass jogging I've ever seen in my life.
Dude,
this looks like this is a show.
No.
Like it.
Here's what my question for the Chiefs is if we're 3-4 days away from the AFC Championship game, what does a full participant in an AFC Championship week of practice look like? That's got to be just walkthrough. There's no way that you guys are hitting each other at this point.
They're especially not hitting Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, they're not hitting Patrick Mahomes. So a full participant in a practice at this point, this is you're doing a lot of walkthrough stuff.
Yeah,
it's not like the most strenuous training camp practices where you can bang on each other and hopefully no one gets hurt. You're protecting as much as you possibly can to get into this game. So I believe that he was a full participant in practice, but I would also like to ask, what does that mean at this point?
Yeah, what's the practice?
I'm just glad C-Rob didn't go with that Patrick Mahomes had a clone out there. I can
do a whole podcast on that.
Body double Patrick Mahomes. As long as you didn't go there, I'm good with each other.
Good God. Yeah, once again, the For You Twitter tab that I was just like, I made the one mistake of early in the week being like, why is Hamlin why is he trending again? I clicked on it and it destroyed it.
The same thing happened to me.
Destroyed. It was over.
I literally spent an hour on
when
Twitter.
you see Antonio Brown is trending. Don't click. Don't.
Patrick Mahomes, he got a vaccine for his ankle sprain. Now it's a stunt double at his press conference today. You guys see him walking on normally? That wasn't actually him.
Yeah. The DeMar Hamlin stunt double, body double. This is literally the craziest. I mean, there are people who get paid to create fake conspiracy theories who were even impressed by that one. They're like, wow, holy shit, this is a good one. That's people kicking themselves. How come I didn't see that angle? By the way, it's not called hitting Patrick Mahomes in practice. It's called hitting the waiver wire after practice.
Oh, yeah, right. Dude, I played Division III football, and I remember there was one day where we were practicing, basically we were doing inside run drills, and our offense, it was kind of a lot like Chip Kelly's offense at Oregon. So there's a lot of read option stuff, and we were practicing, read zone read offense versus defending zone reads. And I tackled the quarterback one time, and I had to do sprints during practice because you don't touch the quarterback. Not even in a drill where a quarterback is an open ball carrier and a participant with the ball. So yeah, you don't touch the quarterback during practice. Being a full participant at this point It means nothing. And look, if they're making Division III kids run, if you touch Patrick Mahomes at any point during practice in the season, you will not have a job the next day unless your name is like Chris Jones. That's about it.
Frank Clark getting fined for giving him dirty looks in practice.
Yeah.
Like, don't even look at him.
Don't even look at him, bro. Like,
just let it go. All right. The game itself did the same thing, called some people had, these teams in common, or at least faced one or the other, and feels to me like a big part of this is going to boil down to, because Patrick Mahomes is limited, or there's maybe limited. Let's just say maybe limited. Let's say looks slightly better than he looked at the end of the game last week. There seems to be a consensus that the way to attack this with the Chiefs is throw the kitchen sink at Kelsey. Like, just whatever you got to do. Do not let him have Kelsey, because Kelsey has been too easy as an out for him. Like, just too reliable, too automatic. And, obviously it goes back into the regular season as well. But make him, if he's limited, figure it out with other guys. And I know that sounds, people are going to sit there and we'll go, obviously that's his number one receiver. But more, it's even more, I think, at least from what I was told, it's amplified so much more once a quarterback is limited, because they look for comfort. And even a guy like Patrick Mahomes is going to go, that's my guy. And what Kelsey's going to say is, I got you. Make sure that's not real. Okay. Take that away. Whether they want to run the football, whether they want to, start focusing on other, pieces of that offense in the passing game, you just got to make sure that Kelsey is not chopping up your linebackers, your nickel, your safeties, whoever you got. I would be surprised if he does not draw, significant, attention nonstop this game. And I don't mean like he's never going to be singled up. He's never going to be in any kind of a zone look where he doesn't have multiple people that are accounting for him.
I think you got to try the same thing. Like, don't let Kelsey beat you, because I'm not sure that, especially if Mahomes is hobbled and he's not, making a whole bunch of plays outside the pocket, or at least is like at a point where you can contain him a little bit more. I'm not really sure that any of these other receivers are really putting the fear of God in me. But I will say on the flip side, like, they don't have to, because the Chiefs, they've kind of developed into this team over the past couple of years that can grind it out on the ground if they need to. They've got a big offensive line. They've got a nice running back who can kind of churn out yards for you in Pacheco, and they can kind of take some pressure off Mahomes. Like, I was kind of looking at it from this standpoint. The last time that these two teams played, the Chiefs had success running on the Bengals, and the Bengals, they have a fast defensive line, but outside of DJ Reader, they don't really have a big defensive line.
Get worn.
So, yeah, you can throw Orlando Brown and guys like Trey Smith on power runs at them, and just kind of try to get your bigger offensive linemen on their smaller defensive linemen and make plays in space like that. So I keep kind of flipping back and forth on how much this Mahomes thing is going to hurt them. Obviously, it's going to hurt them to a degree, but I think they have a counter punch on the ground that might be able to just keep him in the game if he's really, really hurting out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole betting world is on over Isaiah Pacheco, 47.5 rushing yards. Like, everybody. Like, it is like the most popular prop I've seen all week. That'll probably rise. But
is it still I don't know. 47?
I have not looked lately, but everybody's on it. And I could see him going over that for the same reason C-Mac talked about. You may have to have a counter punch in this game, and the Chiefs are willing to do that for sure. Maybe I'm just talking myself into a story, but I honestly think Mahomes is going to be pretty reasonably healthy. Like, as crazy as it sounds. Look, we've all heard this by now, but I'll repeat it for anybody who hasn't. The last time Patrick Mahomes had a high ankle sprain, week 1, 2019, he has a high ankle sprain. Week 2, they go to the Oakland Raiders, and he throws for 443 yards and 4 touchdowns. A week after a high ankle sprain. Different ankle. I get this as his plant ankle, and obviously the 2019 Oakland Raiders are not this year's Cincinnati Bengals, but I keep saying over and over this week. I think we talked about this on Monday, Charles. Certain athletes, when you get to that highest level, have this ability to just compartmentalize an injury or an illness and raise their play to overcome it. Yes, I do believe this is Patrick Mahomes' flu game. I think he's going to be awesome in this game. I think he's just that dude. He's the baddest dude on the planet, and I don't really care that he has a high ankle sprain anymore. Maybe I'm being stupid at just ignoring the fact that, oh, we're going to get in the first quarter and be like, oh my God, Patrick Mahomes can't move. This is game done. They can't win. But I really, truly believe in Patrick Mahomes going to have 350 yards against this really, really good Bengals defense. It throws a lot of looks at you. They're going to try to confuse him. They are going to try to take Kelsey out of the game, which they did a really good job of back in week 13. But I just believe in Patrick Mahomes. Absolutely, positively. I think this is his time. On the other side, the one thing I do think a week ago when we were talking about Bengals-Bills, what was the story? Oh, how can the Bengals block? How can they protect? They have 3 offensive linemen out. They have one good game in the snow against the Bills, and we're not talking about that at all anymore. Like, it's just like, oh yeah, they're fine. I don't know if that's true. I think they're going to have a tough time protecting. I think the Chiefs could figure out ways to kind of get over that on them a little bit. They're not going to be snow to slow down a pass rush like there was in Buffalo. I still think that's a key thing. At least 2 of their linemen have not practiced this week. I don't know that all of them are going to answer the bell. They're going to be at least shorthanded, I think. And I think that could be an advantage to the Chiefs. Look, Burrow's great. Chase is great. Higgins, Hurst showed up last week. Mixon's still atop. But I just think when Patrick Mahomes on the field, it's almost like a Michael Jordan thing now where that one guy in 15, he ain't going to let you lose.
Look, it's a quarterback league. I know people get sick of hearing that. I'm sorry. It's just reality. It will always be a quarterback league as long as it's structured the way that it is. It's a legend game for either of those guys. I think if Burrow, you lose the Super Bowl, you lose offensive linemen down the stretch, you know what he's been able to accomplish over the course of this season, being this unflappable guy, all the talking about Arrowhead being called Burrowhead. By
the way, do you want to poke that bear if you're the Bengals?
No, I don't.
I don't get what they're doing. I don't get
either. But this is the same guy who is like, our window is my career, and but better send those refunds. Like, this dude just doesn't. He literally
I like it.
I love it. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying the Bengals spent all week being like, we're going to get back at everybody who naysayed us, and then they've been talking trash all week. Don't you think that the Chiefs are taking some notes?
Look, Eli Apple's out of pocket nonstop. I mean, like, look, I get it, but at the same time, at least when it comes down to Burrow, I just don't think he cares. I think he's just like, look, even if I lose, whatever. Like, he's just it's like that dude. You'd be playing pickup basketball with him up by 40, and he's still talking to you. Like, it's just I think it's a legend game for either guy. I think for Burrow and the Bengals to be able to get in the Super Bowl again after losing and then having the offensive line injuries and working out some, Jamar Chase goes down obviously for a period during the season. They start off bad. I mean, first couple of weeks they look terrible. Burrow's getting the crap kicked out of him. It would be pretty impressive, and I think would cement this. That we're all right when we look at him and we go, okay, this is going to be a dude for the next decade plus, along with all these other dudes. He belongs. And then I think Mahomes, it's like you said, like, I think this is part of the GOAT moment for him. Like, if he gets back into another Super Bowl, I mean, how many AFC title games can you play in? It's ridiculous. If he can get back into another Super Bowl, if he can win another Super Bowl at this point, and he can do it on an injury. It's like you said, it's Jordan. It continues that arrow for either of these guys. And frankly, this is another game too. I think either of these guys loses the game, nothing, doesn't do anything to me. I'm just like, it's like, to me, it's like Brady and Peyton Manning. Like, somebody was going to lose that game, and I'm not going to sit there and rail on whoever the loser is.
I agree. I think that it's just the best stat I've thrown out all week. Sunday night, the Super Bowl odds, the favorite was plus 250. Fourth best odds was plus 280. I've never seen 4 teams this bunched up. And any of the 4 could win a Super Bowl, especially this AFC Championship game, like you talked about, Charles. Whoever loses this game, it's like, well, whatever. You lost to one of the 4 best teams of football and a championship caliber team. I feel that way about both games, where it's like, whatever. The losing team, I'm not going to be like, wow, you blew that. No. You're just going to lose to a good football team.
I just want to say, if the Bengals do beat the Chiefs on Sunday, that does not mean that Joe Burrow is better than Patrick Mahomes.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, I'm not saying to you guys. I'm saying
I know. I've read that, and it just blows my mind. I'm like, we have no context of the game. Football's a team game. Let's get rid of quarterback wins as a way we analyze football. It's so stupid. Thank you, C-Mac.
Also, no one's better than Mahomes. Just to be clear,
he's the baddest dude that's out there. He is that guy. He's just He's just different. Different than him.
I don't. But see, that's the thing that drives me nuts is that we are getting to this point where although let's be real, that's what is fun about sports. We argue like it's so stupid. We're still arguing Kobe, Jordan, LeBron. Like people argue it forever. People forget that Lou Alcindor was probably the most unstoppable human being in the history of basketball. I mean, they banned
$71, baby.
When they banned dunking
yeah.
in college because they're like, you're not allowed to do that anymore. You've something fundamentally insane about that. It just sucks. I hate it because you kind of gotta knock somebody, and I just don't want to knock Mahomes. I don't want to knock Burrow. I don't want to knock any of these guys. Like, it's fun watching them. I feel like we're, Hurts playing in the Final Four here, looking at how loaded. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, was awesome to see Trevor Lawrence put it together. I hope the same happens with Herbert. Just be happy. This is great. Like, this could literally be when we had Roethlisberger, Eli Manning, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. There was this clump of quarterbacks, and you were looking at them and their trajectory, and you're like, all these, Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers. Yeah. We're like, oh my God, all these guys are going to own all the records, and they're all playing right now. They're all going to be in the top 10, 12 of the every all-time record there is. This is the golden era of quarterbacks. We'll never have it this good again. I might have been wrong. Like, I don't know. Right now, just from the accomplishments and sheer talent that's being brought to the table by all these guys that are young, it's bananas.
Brock Purdy.
I know
Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy, who, by the way,
onion ring.
Yeah, thanks for clipping the burnt onion ring. I caught hell for calling him a burnt onion ring in the French fries. That was.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I always got to remember that when I do things like that, it gets clipped, and I'm gonna get some.
So who are you picking, Charles? Who are you picking in this one?
This is the same thing. I'm like, by the time we get to the Super Bowl, I will have picked like every combination there is possible. So I think I'm going to take Kansas City because, and this is completely unscientific, it's just hard for me to believe that Burrow and the Bengals can beat the Chiefs 4 times in a row. And in this situation on the road in Arrowhead, I think I would feel different if maybe I shouldn't be affected by it because I'm a conspiracy theorist myself, although not an off the planet conspiracy theorist.
I was about to say how wild.
Yeah.
How flat is the earth, Charles?
I'm a light conspiracy theorist compared to what people are trotting out there nowadays. I think seeing him run does mean something. It's to me, I'm like, look, even if it was sort of a setup situation, extra tape, maybe give him a little something to let him go out there and run around and not feel the pain. Well, what do you think is going to happen on game day? I mean, come on, let's be honest. Like,
he's going to play.
Yeah. There'll be a lot of tape and a lot of medical therapy that occurs before the game starts.
They can talk around that.
He's going to be all right. You could drive a cement truck on the field over his foot, and maybe he wouldn't feel it at this point based on whatever's going to happen. So this is probably the first time in a long time. I really don't care. It's going to be fun. Like, I'm just looking forward to watching the games, and no matter what, we're going to get a really good, fun Super Bowl match out of it. And I'm psyched. I'm really, really happy. And Charles is going to be in Vegas, and who knows what that's going to entail. I can't wait to see.
Yeah, I just got confirmed for the Pro Bowl Skills Challenge, so at least like a credential.
You'll be in it? You'll be like thrown into tires and stuff like it's American Gladiators?
I'm going to. I'm just going to try to meet as many famous football players as I can over the course of a week and see how that works out for me.
It's going to be.
I'm going to be having a good time.